All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Welcome to the webinar, How to Capture, Map, and Communicate Your Past Performance. My name is Catherine Walsh, and I am with NBDC PTAC, and I will be your moderator today. Our PTAC program is part of the Nebraska Business Development Center. We are a statewide program, and the government contracting services we offer include assistance with registration, assistance with 8A HubZone, women-owned, veteran-owned small business certifications and self-certifications, proposal and bid review, and assistance with post-award processes. NBDC has moved to all virtual events for the remainder of the year. The next virtual event will be part of our Demystifying Government Contracting series and is on all small focus, including DoD's Mentor Protege program. And that will be co-presented with the Small Business Administration. And that is on the last Friday of this month in August. So coming up in about a month now, on September 11th, we are having part one of our Meet the Buyers conference. We have decided, due to COVID-19 and the current situation, to hold the conference in two parts, and it will be all virtual this year. The first part will be a virtual presentations and speakers in the morning. We will have Joshua Frank return from RSM Federal. We will have GSA, and we will have John Maddox from Co-Prince Law to speak again on Mentor Protege program and joint ventures. So you can sign up for that half-day virtual event on our eCenter page. Then part two of our Meet the Buyers conference will take place on October 20th and allow for you to meet one-on-one virtually with federal agencies and buyers. So for the full list of participating agencies and buyers, you can visit our conference event page, which is ptac.unomaha.edu/meetthebuyers. Otherwise, you can email me and I can provide you with some more information. My email is cwalsh, W-A-L-S-H, @unomaha.edu. Okay, so let's get started with today's webinar. If you have any questions, please type them into the question box and I will address everyone's questions at the end. The PowerPoint slides for today's webinar can be found in your Handouts tab. That's on your control panel. If you go down to the second tab to the bottom, it says Handouts, and if you click on that arrow, you will be able to download them from there. Today, our webinar is presented by Josh Frank, the managing partner at RSM Federal. As an award-winning business coach, professional speaker, and best-selling author, Josh Frank is nationally recognized as an authority on government sales and business acceleration, and his coaching has helped companies win more than $2 billion in contracts. So welcome, Josh, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Catherine. And just a quick double check, see the slide, hear my voice?
Yes, and yes.
Awesome. All righty. Good morning, everyone. So what we're going to be talking about today is past performance. Now, just to be clear, excuse me, we're not going to be talking about the formal past performance write-up. We're going to be talking about how you position in the market, how you market yourself, how you differentiate, how you communicate value. I was talking with Catherine right before we started, and I told her this is probably one of the most powerful and valuable sessions that I'm going to give in 2020. It is so critical for entrepreneurs and startups and small businesses. And so she's already given my background. I'm not going to race through all this stuff again. I'm a huge small business advocate, however, and if you happen to be a veteran, you probably are familiar with the VBRC, and I'm on the board of directors for that SBA program. I also work with the SBA, although this year with COVID, who knows? I'm not even sure the Emerging Leaders Program is still going. I'll assume it is, but I haven't heard yet. And then I judge entrepreneurial competitions. And so, quick note, and I'll mention it again at the end. I put out a lot of thoughts and concepts and strategies on LinkedIn. So if you're not connected with me, go ahead and connect with me now as I'm going through this or after the session. So, excuse me. So let's, when we talk about communicating value, there's 7 core challenges, especially small businesses face in selling to the government. And they're not so much challenges as they are steps. But if you look at the very first one, that's communicating your value, right? You can collect intelligence in the market. You can have a really strong sales strategy. You can team, you can go to trade shows, you can do all these things. But if I ask you, hey, what do you do? And you respond the way that most companies respond, you're not differentiating yourself, okay? And so, I just wanted to make clear that this really is a baseline. And as I go through the session today, I think you'll understand why it is so important, okay? So I almost always start with this. If you've already seen this, and because I present training sessions in support of Nebraska, just bear with me. But I'm going to ask the question: why do companies win contracts? So just talk to your computer. Imagine that I can hear you talking to me. Why do companies win contracts? Now, the most common responses: past performance, your team, your value, quality, your back office capability, your status, right? You're small, woman, veteran, minority, socially disadvantaged, hub zone, whatever. Your pricing and your relationships. But the question is, what's the number one reason why companies win contracts? And the answer is, it's the perceived value of the company. I'll speak about this later on during the session, but I'm going to make a statement. It's an important one, and that is, you're never going to win contracts simply because you are 8A, woman-owned, veteran, service-disabled, hub, Native American, ANC, whatever statuses you may have. You're not going to win contracts because you've got yourself certified, okay? And for those of you that go, well, that's not what I've been told. Even 8A can have a sole source. Sure, but first, 8As never receive a sole source unless that company is perceived to provide value and can do what the government needs you to do, or commercial. This is market agnostic, right? Even though this is for government, this applies to commercial as well. And so another example, let's say you're woman-owned, and you go to, there's an opportunity, you find it on SAM, and you decide to bid, right? Well, let's say 28 companies bid, 5 companies bid, whatever the number is. What is the one thing all companies have in common? They're all woman-owned. They're all certified. So at that point, your status simply balances you out. It's not a direct differentiator, and you're not going to win because you're woman-owned. You're going to win because your proposal, your value that you communicate is stronger than all the others. So this is one of my soapboxes that I often go on. You will not win a contract because you're small, woman, or any other status. It simply balances you in the market and opens some doors for you, provides some value to your teaming partners. There's some other pieces. But don't think that your statuses are going to directly win you contracts. All right, that soapbox is over. So let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be basic to intermediate tactics today. We're going to try to go at 1 hour so we can do some Q&A. And we're going to talk about several things: the brand, how do you differentiate, mapping your past performance. I'm going to go through several real-world examples so that you can say, oh, this is how I could do it for my company, for my products, my services. So we're going to start with your brand, right? And there's 3 parts to a brand: you personally, your solutions, product or service, and your company. And, how do you position and do all this? Well, first you identify the brand, you identify your competencies, but you communicate it in terms of the value or the benefits, right? You know, if I ask some of you, many of you, and I say, hey, what do you do? If you're a technology company, you're going to go, I'm a technology company. If you sell a certain product, you're going to say, I sell a certain product. But there's no metrics, no numbers, no percentages of what value do you really provide to your customers. Okay, now we're going to walk through that today so you understand. If you have a niche, then you can communicate it. But I want to be very clear on niche. This has nothing to do with government sales. This has to do with general business strategy. Let's say you have a product, okay, or a service. And that product or service, you know, let's say it's a product and you go, hey, we have a patent. We have a patent on our product and nobody else can do what this product does. Or you have a service and you go, this is, you know, a very unique service. Nobody else does it the way we do it. And so it's a very niche process and methodology, or however you want to describe it. You may even be discussing your quality assurance or quality control plan. My point is this: even if you have a patent on a product, if my product achieves the exact same end state as your product, even though it has some black box in it that, you know, that nobody does but yours, if the end state is the same, that is not a niche product. Okay? Same goes for service. So even if you have a product or service that you believe you're attempting to brand and market as we are one of a kind, if there are any other products or services in the market that can achieve the same end state for me, the customer, be very cautious about how you communicate whether it's a niche, okay? And then you identify your differentiators, and then you position and shape in the market. And we're going to walk through each of these. And so first, it's a logical sequence when it comes to branding. It's going to be you, then your product, service, then your company. That's just general business. That's how your marketing and your brand is perceived. For you, it's 30 seconds, right? Whether I meet you at a conference, I talk to you on the phone, almost instantly, I'm going to be evaluating. We all do this. You know, hey, is this person qualified? Does this person know what they're doing? Are they confident? Do they have strong interpersonal skills? Those pieces, 30 seconds. If you screw up in the first 30 seconds, well, your brand has already taken a hit. Now, for many that are entering the government space, or for that matter, are entering the commercial market, right? There's trepidation, right? Oh my God, you know, I'm trying to sell something, and how do I approach? And, you know, what's my initial pitch? How do I introduce myself? All those pieces, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna screw up. It takes practice, but get better at it, learn from it, because recognize your brand, your personal brand, 30 seconds, and it's done. Your services or your products, those come in the next several months, and you have to pretty much deploy them, although you can do some of this pre-sales. And then your company takes much longer, right? It takes about a year. And that's based on successful past performance. So that's the brand sequence. And so when we talk about branding yourself, Catherine and I were just talking about this just before we logged in today. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you need a profile. You need an account. I don't care if you're 65 years old, you need an account. Several reasons. One, LinkedIn is it for business connections. And somewhere between 60 and 70% of government employees are now using LinkedIn. And so let me go down the rabbit hole. You know, we have a lot of clients that say, hey, Josh, I'm trying to identify, you know, who I should be talking to within this subordinate command, within the, you know, Air Force Mobility Command, or whatever it may be, or within, you know, the CDC under Health and Human Services. And they'll talk to the small business offices, And, small business offices, right? Whether it's an OSDBU or the OSBP, Office Small Business Programs for DoD, they're microcosms of society. Some are really good and they're going to provide you with some value, and the others, well, less so much, okay? And you may peg out and go, all right, I've called small business offices. I've attempted to call contracting officers. Nobody's getting through. I can't get through to anybody. Go to LinkedIn. Search for the agency. Search for the command. Search by keyword. It's not hard. Connect with people. And let me keep going down the rabbit hole. Don't try to sell to them. Hi, hey, assistant director of whatever for the Department of the Interior, we sell XYZ, who can I talk to? Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not how it works. If you're on LinkedIn, simply send a connection. Go, hey, I'd like to connect with you. After you're connected, look up, where'd they go to college? It's going to be on their profile. Oh, they went to college in Virginia or in Texas. Maybe you see some posts that they're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. My next comment back is going to be something about their college team. Hey, your college team went 3 for 15. They were 3-12 last year. What the heck happened? Or, hey, I see you're a Pittsburgh fan. Dallas is going to clean your clock this year. I guarantee you, using humor is going to get a response. And then once you have that response, you can go, hey, I'm trying to figure out who I should be talking to, reference what I sell. What are your recommendations? So I think what you're figuring out is it's not just you have to have a LinkedIn profile. You also have to know how to softly build a relationship and your connections and then collect intelligence, okay? If you have a profile, don't have a profile, use my profile as a template. Look at how I put my profile together. Now, I am as much B2B as I am B2G, right? My company, we are government contractors, but that's a side business unit. We're primarily B2B, but use my profile as a template. Business cards, they don't have to be two-sided, okay? When we start off as business owners, we think we have to be really, really extensive in what we do. I would say keep it simple. The exceptions are if you're a marketing company, right? Then you've got weird shaped cards and colors and what have you. But have a simple card, clear high resolution logo, immediately recognizable product services. I mean, if I can't tell what you sell by just looking at the front of your card, your business card has failed. So I want all of you to look at your business cards and go, okay, based on my logo, our tagline, and anything else on the front, do I know exactly what you sell? Okay. And don't print them at home. Vistaprint, I'm not getting paid for this. Vistaprint, you can get like 500 cards for 20 bucks or 25 bucks or whatever it is. It's crazy cheap, okay? Inexpensive, excuse me. And then you need to be able to write on the back. Now, for those of you that have your primary NAICS code, your DUNS number, your CAGE code, and maybe PSE codes, but I wouldn't put those on there. Make sure half the back of your card I can write on, because nowadays people don't carry notebooks around. They write on the backs of cards. Also, I'm going to go, let me keep going down the rabbit hole. If you're going to put your certifications on your card, put them on the back. Don't put them on the front. Now, why? Because if you put them on the front of your card, you're telling me that the value of your company is that you're a woman, or that you're a minority, or that you're a veteran. Don't think of this from a government perspective. Think of it as a business owner, as a business professional. The value of your company is the value that your products and services provide to your customers. So, if you have, an SDVOSB or 8A logo on the front of your card that's the same size as your corporate logo, what are you telling me? You're telling me that Hey, the value I'm going to provide to you, Mr. Government, Ms. Government, or teaming partner, is that I'm a small business with certifications. Clearly, when I say it like that, you're going, yeah, that doesn't sound right. And it's not. That's not smart business sense. And then, of course, how you dress. Nowadays, I'm guessing if I had you all turn on your video cameras, I'd have pajamas, I'd have T-shirts. I'm wearing a button-down shirt, a dress shirt, although I am in jeans. But when we get back to normal, make sure you look smart. In terms of your marketing collateral, real high level, needs to be simple to read. Capability statement and website need to be accurate and professional. If your website looks like it was put together in the 1980s or put together by a high school student, although I'm not sure I can get away with saying that much anymore. Kids are so freaking good at IT today. But bottom line, the website needs to look professional, okay? All your marketing collateral, everything, Duns, Cage, NAICS, etc. And everything needs to focus on metrics, numbers, values, benefits, percentages, and we're going to talk. This has all been a lead up into the core piece of this training session today. How do you do all that? Okay. Couple other items. Website, already said professional clean. You need a government landing page. Now, for everyone that doesn't have a government contract yet, you still want a government landing page, okay? You can have it, some put it in their top navigation, some put it in under markets, right? Hey, we have commercial, residential, SLED, state, local education, and government. I always say government versus federal only because if you say federal, I'm thinking civilian agencies. Government also includes DOD. So I would say a government landing page. If I'm a government prospect and you reach out to me, or I am a potential teaming partner, right? And if you didn't know this, 90% of small companies get their first 3 or 4 contracts as a subcontractor. So all of you should probably have really strong teaming strategies as part of your government sales strategy. And so whether I'm the government, I'm a prospect, I'm a buyer, or I am a potential teaming partner that you've reached out to say, hey, we want to be on your team, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Government or teaming partner, I'm going to go to your website just to check you out. If you don't have anything about government, you don't have a government page, well, you're obviously not serious about the government. Or it's apps, or you're so brand spanking new, there's probably risk in me awarding you a contract or teaming with you. That government landing page, if you want to know what it looks like, go look at mine. All right, if you go to rsmfederal.com, and I think it's under About Us because it's not our primary business unit, you'll see a government services, right? That's us marketing to the government. That's my page. Take a look at it. Okay. I'm not going to go through this. I've already done it. Simply, I'll say do not use your statuses as a crutch, okay? And by the way, I shouldn't see your statuses at the top of your CAPE statement, capability statement. It should be at the bottom. Why? Because if it's the top, you're telling me the reason I should buy from you is because you're a woman, or you're a minority, or you're a veteran, okay? Don't be over-reliant. So in terms of differentiation, how you differentiate in the market, okay, we're going to get to the whole mapping thing in a minute. But you know, and I've been talking now for 18 minutes. These 18 minutes have been critical to help mentally position you for what I'm going to take you through. But when you differentiate, you are going to do it differently for whether you're talking to a prospect or a partner, okay? In other words, we're talking totally different. If you're differentiating with the government, you're communicating value, capability, and maturity, right? You're not communicating, well, hey, we're a software development firm. Hey, we sell hoses, office supplies, whatever it may be. It's what are the value of all those products and services That's what you're communicating to the government. That's what goes on the website. That's what goes in the capability statement. That's what goes in the proposals and bids. Now, the difference is teaming partners. Now, I'm going to use some absolutes here in terms of how I speak. Teaming partners don't care about what you sell. They don't care that you are the best in whatever it is you do. All they care about is that you're going to make them more competitive. This is so simple, yet so complex a subject, but I want you to mentally remember it and take it into account. Because to communicate making them more competitive, look, there's 100 companies that do what you do. There are 1,000, 100,000, whatever it is, companies that sell the products you sell. And if it's not the exact product, maybe it's something similar. Same with services. Teaming partners, especially larger companies, have a lot of options. So you calling them up and saying, hey, we're really good at what we do. And by the way, we have contracts with US Army and Corps of Engineers, with the Department of Commerce, or maybe it's Fortune 500s, or it's mom and pop shops down the street, whoever your clients are, right? Everybody's got a story. Everybody has a story. The question is, how will you make them more competitive? How will you convince them that you'll win, that they'll win the contract if they bring you onto the team? Okay. That is so different than communicating with a government prospect. This is a foot stomper. Never differentiate until that prospect or partner sees that you're equal to the competition. Because when you walk in the door, or in this case with COVID, you pick up the phone, you're just another company. You're one of 100, right? They don't trust you. They don't know who you are, right? You're an average company as far as they're concerned. And by the way, I have no idea. You're probably not the best at what you do. You're probably not the only company. And so, and remember, it does not matter what your statuses are. Okay, your status is, by the way, making them more competitive. Don't be thinking, well, we're 8A, woman-owned and veteran-owned, therefore we're going to make them more competitive. Folks, too many companies out there are like yours. Sell what you sell, are minority, woman, and veteran-owned. So you are not going to be making that. Don't approach it this way. You're not making them more competitive because of your statuses. You're going to make them more competitive because of who you know, the relationships you have, and the value. You can communicate that value. And that's what we're going through today. Okay. Now, a great tactic, a great strategy, I use this often in my training sessions. Start all your discussions with, hey, you know what? Hey, Mary, you can look at our website, right? You can look at our CAPE statement. Yeah, look, we have a dozen products or services, just like everybody else. But the two where we truly excel and provide the most value are A and B or X and Y or whatever it is. If you say this to me, I'm going to sit back. I'm not going to say it to you out loud, but I'm going to think, gosh, finally, a small business that doesn't think they do it all. Okay? Because most small companies, oh, hey, look, we're awesome at what we do, and you know we're really proud of it, and we're awesome. Nobody slices the bread or butters the bread the way we do. That's great, guys, but everybody says that and does it. So start off, you know. So hey, Josh, what do you do? Well, look, Mary, you can look at the website, CAPE statement, you know, all of our marketing stuff. You know, we got a dozen products or services just like everybody else. But the two that where we truly excel are this and this. Man, I'm sitting back going, finally, this is awesome. Finally, a small company that knows what they specialize in. And for some of you, you know, just FYI, those 2 or 3 that I specialize in change depending on who I'm talking to. I switch them up if I know what they're looking for. And now they think I specialize in exactly what they're trying to find. Okay, so it's marketing and it's strategy. When you're differentiating by product and or service, you know, you've got the different types of differentiation, product, service. I'm not going to go through all of these individually, but I want to spell them out for you, okay? And you've got the slides, you can download them on the right. I do want to mention this. When it comes to differentiation, I want you to think about when you say, hey, you know, this is what differentiates my company. There are 3 buckets: direct, indirect, and balancing. The direct ones, we can all do. We can get a piece of paper and a pen, we can write them down, you know, hey, these are our customers, this is our approach, these are our certifications, we have a facility clearance. Those are easy, right? The indirect ones, really hard. You know, if you look at the first one, you know, trust, very difficult to position, right? The second one, agility, flexibility, innovation. If you look at, you know, all federal agencies and the Department of Defense all have these vision statements, and they all list agility, flexibility, innovation. You should be using those in your marketing because that's very unique to small business. Final thing on this slide, balancing differentiators, okay? Notice where socioeconomic and certifications are. They're balancing. This is the example. If 28 companies apply for a opportunity, write proposals, and it's a woman-owned set-aside, what do all 28 companies have in common? They're all woman-owned. It just balances you. You're not going to win anything because you have the certification, okay? So grasp these buckets and understand status is a balancer. Okay. Now, I went through all of that on the front end in order to provide a baseline and level set. And so the first example, and you know, think as I go through these, I want you to think about your company and the products and services you sell. This company sells a product. It's a lubricant and penetrating solution. It's all purpose. You know, it can be used in motor pools. It can be used on weapons, dining facilities, barracks, but they don't have a lot of past performance there. It performs down to -10. That's actually pretty cool because WD-40 doesn't go down that far. Cleans up with soap and water. It's odorless, non-toxic, and it can be liquid or aerosol delivery. Fairly strong product. I think we can all agree. Now, they don't have any government past performance yet, only commercial. And last year they generated $350,000 in revenue. That's not bad for a small company starting up. And they have 2 primary customers, St. John's Mercy Medical and Home Depot. Okay, now these are real world examples. I'm not going to give the company names, but these are real companies. And so when I first spoke with them, I said, what do you do? They said, well, Josh, we sell lubricants and we have 2 contracts, one with a hospital and we're carried by Home Depot. And we're certified woman-owned small business and we made $350,000 last year. Our products work all the way down to -10, so we're even stronger than WD-40. So, you know, what do you use for lubricants? Who buys lubricants for your agency? This is a fairly common response. Think about how you communicate what you do when somebody asks you, okay? And I said, okay, I think we can make this a little bit stronger because you really don't have a ton of value in here, okay? There's not a lot of metrics. And so, you know, we walked through and I said, okay, you have 350,000 in sales. What's your MSRP? And she goes, a little under 10 bucks. And I said, so you've sold over 35,000 units. And she said, yes. Well, that's, I think, a little bit more powerful than 350K in sales, right? And I said, break down your customers. She goes, 95% is St. John's, 5% Home Depot. And I said, excuse me. And I said, okay, let's talk about St. John's first. It's a system, right? I had to Google it. Yes, it's a medical system. Okay. How many hospitals? 17. How many states? Most medical systems cross geographical divides. 7 states. And those hospitals encompass 317 clinics and outpatient locations. How many employees? How many patients? Right? I mean, because this lubricant is being used within the system. Therefore, it is supporting those hospitals. You know, you may only have one buyer, right? At the headquarters in St. Louis, let's say, right? St. Louis, Missouri. One person's buying all of this, you know, most of these units. What do most companies do? They go, well, we sold to the healthcare industry, right? And you know 30,000 units or whatever it is. Well, you can communicate value a lot stronger than that. Then we looked at Home Depot, right? World's largest home improvement retailer. You know, and Home Depot normally, you know, for product anyway, if they put you onto their online system, they normally allow you to sell locally, right, within your city. So they're in 3 stores. And I said, but aren't you in the online system? Yes, 2,200 stores. And oh, by the way, that's US, Canada, and Mexico. So you're actually also selling internationally. And so this is this short, you know, product example of mapping value, right? You're simply asking questions and you're collecting metrics. And so this is, I won't read it again, but this was the pitch, right? This is what we do. This is what it is now, right? Provide environmentally safe, non-toxic, non-flammable, strong enough for military grade applications, but safe enough for children. We support more than 300 clinics, 17 hospitals across 7 states. Our products are used by 6,800 professionals, supporting more than 1 million end users. And oh, by the way, we're brick and mortar and online, right? 2,200 stores, US, Canada, Mexico. And here's our differentiators. And in just the last year, we sold more than 35,000 units, both CONUS and OCONUS. Continental United States, outside continental United States. I'm using government jargon and language. This is what goes on the website. This is what goes on the CAPE statement. And just look at the numbers and the metrics. That's what makes you more powerful in your bids and proposals. Now, let me do another example. I did one for product companies. Let's do one for services, okay? Real company. They do access control, intrusion detection, CCTV. They're a distributor for 7 security system manufacturers, and they sell product, but primarily sell design and installation. They make their money doing, you know, the full end-to-end solution, right? Now, their past performance. First of all, they've only operated within a 300-mile radius of their headquarters. Okay, so within their state, they're not working all across the U.S. Revenue, a little less than 500K, and primarily commercial, but they had one sale for a product with the Air Force. Okay, and I said to them, all right, what do you do? And they go, we are a security company. We support residential and schools and municipalities, clinics and airports. And we're a veteran-owned small business. We specialize in, you know, AC, IDS, CCTV. We've been in business for more than 10 years. So, hey, US Army or whoever I'm talking to, what are your security requirements, right? Obviously, yes, you know exactly what this company does. They're a security company. They do access control, IDS, and CCTV. But I'm not going to buy from you because of this. And I'm sure as heck not going to bring you onto my team. You're not going to be a subcontractor to my company because I've got plenty of security companies that communicate stronger than this. Okay? So, first, let's look at the customer list, right? This is called mapping. They've done 3,500 homes. They did a courthouse. They did one government Air Force buy. They've done an airport, some security for schools, DMV. You can look down the list, right? They have some decent past performance. And I said, what's the revenue you're making on all these? Because I want to know the big ones first. I go from that and I say, okay, let's talk Long Beach. That 43,000, what, how many cameras do you install? 450 cameras. Well, that's cool, but that's all they knew. And I said, how many schools are in the district? 85. They had to look it up. How many employees? We have no idea. How many students across all those schools? No clue. And I said, we got to get the numbers. That helps communicate the maturity of what you've done. The second one was the airport. 75,000. They did 340 IDS, 125 access control. And I asked them, I said, hey, talk me through what you really did. They said, well, we installed security systems. No, that's not what I mean. And I walked them through and I said, tell me about the airport. And they said, well, we had to also support this business park that's inside the airport. It's 100 acres of business park. And I'm like, wow, okay. And they said there are 200 businesses. There's also a 26-acre shopping center. And I said, how many employees across all this? 9,000. How many passengers go through this airport? 3.8. And all the systems. Don't just think about what you sell. Think about the user and how it's being used. And then the other pieces were residential. Excuse me. I said, for 3,500 homes, how many people? And they go, oh, we don't know. I said, do an average, 2 point whatever. How many cities, municipalities? How many contact points? Folks, all those windows that they put security points on. They didn't have any numbers, right? They've been doing it for 10 years. And then think about this, 262,000 feet of cable. That's crazy, right? But they don't think that way. They think, well, we're not a cabling company, we're a security company. Well, they are a cabling company. All that conduit that they had to drill through walls, right? There may be contracts out there for a new building. Maybe it's NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency in St. Louis. They have $1 billion build going in. A company like this could provide some serious value, right? And then other customers, and I ran down some of the other numbers. So you take all of that, and this is what it comes down to. 19,400 security components were installed at 3,700 unique locations, protecting almost 4 million people. 262,000 feet of cable, vertical, state, federal, etc., and their manufacturers. Again, I want you to, actually, hold on, I went the wrong way. Again, look at this. This is how most small companies start off. Hey, what do? This is the answer. Let's go back. Look at the value points, the metrics, the numbers. Think about the products or services that your company sells. What numbers and metrics, qualifiable, quantifiable value can you communicate about what you've already done? Now, very important point. You can't use this exercise as a formal past performance write-up in a proposal, right? Because those have to be individual contracts. But this is what goes on website, etc. CAPE statement, convincing someone that you provide value. And so instead of this, it turns, doesn't turn, it becomes this. Hey, we provide security solutions, state, federal, medical, commercial, residential. Last 5 years, 3,700 locations, protecting 3.9 million, including the 10th largest airport, California. We've run more than 260,000 feet and more than 19,000 security products. Last 10 years, relationships with, and we all know who Honeywell and Johnson Controls, those are recognizable names, and we are known for strong system design, and for our federal clients, customer service 24/7, 365. Folks, even if you're not 24/7, 365 today, your cell phone allows you to be that. You're really already doing it. Just say it. Okay? So those are two examples. I want to dovetail into some graphics. How do you depict this value? Obviously, you know, and by the way, this could be on your homepage, right? This could be on your homepage of the website. This could literally be the opening paragraph on your capability statement for your corporate overview. We looked at the customer list, right, for that security company, and you could just have this listed out. One example is to break down by vertical, right? Makes sense. And then you have them. Hey, you know, state and federal. Here you go. Notice how I have Air Force at the top. You have your education, medical, commercial. Now, this is valuable, but let's go a step further. What if you were to break it out by vertical and use the logos? Okay. This, remember, most people are going to spend no more than 6 seconds looking at a website, looking at a CAPE statement. I may miss this, right? I'm not missing this. Whoo, look at all the folks they've worked with. Hey, you see where it says Air Force up there? That was only $8,000, guys, gals, right? Some of these could just be a few $1,000s. The bottom line is you communicate your past performance graphically. Now, so you see you have these three different versions. None of them are right, none of them are wrong. I would tell you I prefer graphics. This was one of our clients, Frost Supply, right? They've been in the market a long time. Can you imagine a graphic like this being in your past performance section of a proposal? Right? Being on the, not the home page, but maybe on your government landing page of your website. For everyone that is watching this training session, okay? If it was all commercial, then use all commercial, okay? You can make it look good. Here's some other examples. These are really good, really good. You may have a project that you're working for one client, but there's the impact and you're talking to 4 folks in 4 different states. Man, you could really graphically project maturity and value by using a map like this. Okay? So once you understand how to map and communicate your past performance, now you start to update things, right? Don't update your website, your CAPE statement, your proposal. Once you go through this exercise, and every single one of you should do it, now you update your CAPE statement. Now you update website and your team and collateral. Then that's your pitch. You update your 45-second pitch, your sales pitch. Now you know what you're doing at prospect meetings and conferences. And most important, your proposals and bids are much, much stronger. So did that in about 45 minutes, not bad. What did we learn today? How your brand impacts how you differentiate, common ways to differentiate product service, mapping, competency mapping. That's the product service example we went through, right? And then how do you bridge and you know, multiple past performances for stronger actual and perceived value by your prospects and partners. Now, before we go into Q&A, a couple of items. First, if you are a podcast person, you like to listen, govconpodcast.com, we're on there. There's about 12 different strong podcasts that you can listen to. Great free content for getting smarter on from a business perspective of how to sell to the government. So that's number one. Number two, couple things. The Insider's Guide is the all-time #1 best-selling book for government contractors. It is a ton of tactics and strategies. It's mine. Ton of tactics and strategies that includes what we just talked today, actually goes into even greater detail and a whole bunch of other things. I'm not supposed to be selling anything, right? So I say almost free, but it's so inexpensive. It's a great book. Grab it. It'll help you mentally prepare for the market. Game Changers podcast, already talked about it. You'll find that on the GovCon podcast. You can also get a free account on FA, and we give you free examples of CAPE statements, and there's a dozen free items out there that you can get. And then, very important, make sure you're not just getting emails from your PTAC. Make sure you're talking to Catherine and her team and finding what resources they have available, etc. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Catherine for some Q&A, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Josh. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to please type your questions in the question box. We have a few thank yous coming in. So thank you again. I'll just reiterate what they're saying. They found this very useful. And maybe Josh, I know it's not like totally, and you already covered a little bit. You could talk a little bit more like about LinkedIn and how they go about finding, contracting officers on there, and if they can connect with them directly or.
Yeah, we have a lot of folks who go, are there any best practices? By the way, I apologize. I had no surgery. It failed, so I've got some sniffing going here. But let's say, for example, so let me go down the rabbit hole on this. One of the first things that any company in this space should do is identify the government's propensity. That means who buys what you sell, how much do they buy, and how often do they buy it, right? Otherwise, if all you're doing, listen very carefully, if all you're doing is responding to opportunities on SAM, you are probably not going to win much, okay? You need to target. You need to have 3 strategic targets. Those could be agencies, those could be military commands, could be a combination, because those are the 3 over the next 12 months you're going to spend time building relationships with. No specific opportunities, but understanding that prospect, what companies you can team with, etc. Okay? So, I just lost my chain of thought. Catherine, where was I going?
LinkedIn, potentially.
All right, LinkedIn, and I was talking.
And,
okay.
contacting officers or connecting.
Yeah, so, first, and I'm going through this because it's important. How do you know who to even contact and reach out to? If you're just throwing stuff on the wall and hoping something sticks, you're going to fail. So who are the 3 strategic targets? Everybody needs to talk to the PTAC. The PTACs can help you identify who buys what you sell, how much, and how often, okay? Once you know that, you're gonna know your 3 primary targets. Now, you say, okay, what do I do? Well, there's a couple of things. One is LinkedIn. You go into LinkedIn, you go into the search, and you go, I want, let's see, Department of Commerce is going to be one of our targets. I'm going to go into the filters for search and select organization for Department of Commerce. And then in the keyword area, let's say I do technology, I'm going to type technology. And it will list everybody in the Department of Commerce who works for the Department of Commerce that has anything in their title that deals with technology. Okay? At that point, I'm going to look through. I'm going to find contracting officers. I'm going to find analysts. I'm going to find program managers. I'm going to find executive officers, executive leadership. Connect with them, right? Again, don't try to sell to them. Initially, you're just connecting. I used the football example before. Use some humor, right? Another thing that you can be doing, so again, let me reiterate, just search by the organization and keyword in the title, and you'll find a whole bunch of folks. Some will talk to you, some won't, but that's like everything else. The other thing, very important, I want you to think about using SAM in a completely opposite manner than how everybody pretty much uses it. Most people use SAM, I want to find opportunities that I can bid on right now. Instead, imagine going into SAM and not searching for active opportunities, but I'm going to search by that agency, possibly by a contracting office ID code, use a keyword for what I sell. Maybe it's NAICS code, you use search by NAICS code. And I don't care if it's active. I'm going to unselect the active box in SAM. I just want to see everything. And all those opportunities I'm looking at, I'm going to just start scrolling through them and finding contracting officers. I don't care if it's what I do or not. I'm looking for contracting officers that are in that manage my the contracts for the products or services I sell. You're using SAM backwards. You're using it to find contact information versus finding opportunities. So between using SAM in a reverse way and using LinkedIn, folks, there is no excuse for not being able to find who your buyers are and contact information. How's that, Catherine?
Great advice. Thank you, Josh. I have a question from Melanie. If we only have one major project as past performance, should we list that on the capability sheet? Their company is only 1 year old.
You say only one past performance? Is that
one major project? Yep.
One major project. Is that one major project government or just company as a whole?
I'm not sure. Melanie, if you're on, would you want to respond to that? Government. She says government.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm assuming she's got other projects on the commercial side. Excuse me. On the government side, yes, of course you're going to list that. I'd even be using the logo of that agency or that command. My point would be, instead of communicating, gee, we have, 5 commercial contracts and 1 government contract, I would simply start with, look, we are highly experienced. We provide the following value in the state, local, and federal markets. And then, let's say that 1 government contract, I have no idea what you sell, Melanie, but let's say there's, whatever the product or service is, instead of saying we just have 1 contract, we'll make it up and say it's the Air Force. I would say, look, we support the Department of Defense. We have a contract with the United States Air Force. Across our federal contracts, our government contracts, and now put all your metrics, your value, your mappings, right? You don't have to say it's a single contract. It's all in perception and how you communicate your value. It's really hard for me to do it without a lot of specifics, right? But short answer, yes, of course you can use it. You should use it. It's proof that you already have government past performance.
Yes, great. I don't know if this will change anything, but she also responded that it's AI and tech services and it's a very large contract. So I think your advice applies.
Yeah, well. It does. And I would say, if you say it's a major, so it's technology, I think, sounded like artificial intelligence something. You should have a gold mine for mapping. All right, your ability to communicate value, it should be off the charts based on what you just described. So my guess would be if you go through this process, it will completely change how your company is perceived in the market.
Great, thank you. That is all the questions we have. We have a few more thank yous and to you, Josh. So
you're welcome.
Thank you again. And if anyone has any further questions, you can contact Josh or I. His email is right there on your screen. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their week.
All right. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, everyone.